my Area 51 line. You're on the air. Hello.
Welcome to the Blondes and Booze Paranormal Podcast, where what you've known as reality will be shattered by the truth. Krista and Brandy will lift the veil from your eyes, revealing what has either been hidden or denied you for eons.
Hey,
Hey, happy Friday.
happy Friday. Thank goodness, man. TGIF. Seriously, this has been a long freaking week.
I know this cold weather has really just kicked in, and well, it's, according to the weather people, it's on its way out. Thank goodness.
Yes. Yep. They said next week we're supposed to have a couple days in the 60s. So it goes from -10 to 60s.
I know.
And that's true. True story.
I know. Right. You're going to watch a bunch of people end up with pneumonia.
Right. Yeah, no kidding. So anyway, we appreciate everybody tuning in tonight, and we got a show tonight we're going to do. We invited Kathy and Aaron from the museum, and we've been doing some reading up on past lives and different things like that, different ideas, and so I'm going to go ahead and just bring Kathy and Aaron up right now. And hey, guys.
Hey everybody. How's everybody?
Hi.
Doing good. Doing good. So I wanted to start out the show. Many of you know my cousin passed away on February 10th. And so I wanted to dedicate this show to him. We, yes, this is a show about death. However, it's not a bad death. It's a happy death, more so death show. If there, am I saying that right, guys?
No, but I mean, how can you really say it?
It's not about loss. It's about passing over.
It's not the morbid side of death. How about that? It's not the morbid side of death.
No. It's not about how it happens.
So I wanted to start out by kind of maybe talking about my cousin, Bob Michael, who, like I said, we lost on February 10th. And we lost him to suicide. And so, as you guys can see, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is scrolling along the bottom. And I never thought in my years that suicide would ever affect my family, and it has. So anyway, Kathy, Aaron, you guys both knew Bob. Brandy, I even think you've met him.
I don't think I have. I don't think in all the times passing, I don't think I ever got to meet him.
Did you come to my 50th birthday party?
I did.
He was here.
He was there.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't. I mean, I probably met him, but I didn't really get to talk with him, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There was a lot of people there. So.
Yeah, there was a lot of new faces there for you.
Yeah, I was like, hello.
So anyway, I just wanted to talk briefly about him. He was just a very giving person. He was a tell it like it was type guy. And Kathy and Aaron can both attest to that. They knew him pretty good themselves.
Absolutely loved him.
He was 3 years ago. We were you've heard us all talk about Big River Ranch. We've done ghost stuff out there, the whole 9 yards. 3 years ago, we were out there, and he had a stroke. Actually, his dog got our attention by barking. Mm-hmm. He was in one of the cabins, and then his wife went over there, and he had the stroke. He was on the ground and passed out. And my husband and Erin Eck, who some of you may remember, she used to be part of Blondes and Booze. They saved his life. They brought him back. And after that, he told everybody he was mad at the world. He didn't understand why that Ray and Aaron brought him back. And I know you guys have heard him say that, he's told us that. And what he said that he saw was, he said there was a door that was open and he was going into the doorway and his dad was on the other side and his dad slammed the door on him. So that it
wasn't his time.
It wasn't his time. And so, you know, there was many times actually, I met him down the road here. There's a little tavern. We would meet to get a little bite to eat. And, you know, we'd talk about that kind of thing. And he was still mad, you know, about it, that he, you know, he would make comments about that. And, you know, we'd just be like, it's just not your time, man. You know, we tell him that stuff all the time. And so, yeah, February 10th in the morning, he did that. Committed suicide, and he left a wife and 2 grown sons and, you know, sisters and a mother and lots of family. And so
lots of people who loved him.
Yep. And Kathy and Aaron actually came up and went to the funeral too. And I have to tell you, like, I hope his spirit's seen how many people was there, because it was standing room only with lines going out the door. He was a very avid horse person. He showed Tennessee walking horses for most of his life. So he was, you know, well known in that circuit, and just he knew a lot of people, you know. And so it was, like I said, it was standing room only, and it was a really nice service. But I got to tell you guys something. So this is what kind of got on the topic for what we're going to talk about tonight. I got in the car, me, my husband, and my 2 girls, and just the radio was on, and it's just random radio station. And I kid you not, the song Freebird by Leonard Skinner came on. So I don't know if any of you guys have ever listened to that or whatever, but that song told me everything I needed to hear right then and there. You know, I knew he's all right, and he's actually better off than where he is now than what he was here on this earth. So anyway, to make a long story short, it was pretty cool that song came through, and I'll never listen to that song the same again, you know. So it was pretty incredible. And then actually this past Tuesday, I was sitting at work, and there was only just 4 of us there that day because we had a big snowstorm here. So I was sitting there at work doing my work, and literally, so my hair is like this, but my hair goes like that. A piece, just the front side here, just kind of flew up like that. And so, like, I know that was him, because honestly, that is something he would do. He would flick my hair. I mean, that was just something I could see him doing. So I really think that was, you know, he's given me 2 signs that he is on the other side and doing well. And so it's very comforting, you know. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say about that. And suicide is a real, true epidemic here and everywhere. And so, you know, it affects families terribly. And so you'll see, once again, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is going across the bottom. And if you have any thoughts, call that number, reach out to somebody. You know, don't do it. Don't do it, because my family's a mess, you know, and it's been rough on all of us. So anyway, all right. So now let's talk good stuff, guys.
Right. After all that, we're kind of like, oh, yeah. I mean, well, it's so sad. I mean, because we virtually talk about people passing all the time. You know what I mean? Yeah. We do. And then when it happens to someone close to us, it's just devastating. It's just devastating.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a lot of the reason that we're looking for these people and wanting to talk to people from the other side, because most of us have lost somebody, you know, and
yes.
We just want to understand it. And some of us are getting closer. You never know. So, you know.
So true. You know,
that is so true. It was funny because, you know, this morning, actually on my way to work, I talked to Nellie Turner on the phone. And so we were talking about something, and I was like, you know, we were talking about this show tonight. And I told her, I said, you know, now that I'm getting closer to my mortality, you know, it's becoming you know, it's kind of in my mind a little bit. So yeah, true story.
It is.
Yeah. So anyway.
Right.
Thank you,
Anyway,
T-Bone.
so on a quick, yes, thank you, T-Bone, by the way. We didn't get to mention it right when it happened, but thank you so much. Every little bit helps. We do appreciate you and everybody else out there for watching. Make sure you hit that like button, that notification bell, and subscribe. Anyway.
Yes. And by the way,
just a little plug in there.
yeah.
And so I'm sitting here and I know everybody's like, what is she doing? I'm down in my back. I have to say it, because we're talking about mortality. I went out and I had to shovel snow for a long while yesterday just to even get my car out of the driveway. And yeah, hurt my back. I woke up this morning. Yeah. So I feel great. I have a heating pad underneath my shirt. So I'm kind of fidgety over here. So don't mind me. I'm just fidgety. Because I'm just like, I've got things propped up back here. And it's like every time I move forward or backward, boy, I'm going to tell you, I want to scream and jump out of this chair. But anyway, we've been talking about different things like throughout the history of Blondes and Booze and beyond about things like this. And there's a lot of strange coincidences that we have run across when it comes to somebody passing or, even a memory, even a memory. And so, I mean, that's why this show was just really cool to us. And Krista pitched me the idea and I'm like, well, heck yeah, I'm all about it. I mean, because isn't that really what, we as paranormal investigators are searching for? Just like Kathy had said, this is what we do, that we're trying to find out, hey, are these our loved ones? Are they okay? I mean, are they stuck here? These are all the things that we want to know to make sure that they are okay.
Right.
And honestly, I think they're better off than we are.
I know.
Agree.
Yeah, I'm pretty darn sure of that.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I feel like they know things that we don't know, and I mean, I don't know. It's just the whole idea. We've always been told if you're a person of faith or anything, you just have to believe because it's so much bigger than it is, and I believe that actually, that it's just more than our little brains could ever handle. We aren't going to begin to understand it, but.
Right.
That's true. That's true. But Kathy, you're reading a book now.
I am. So my friend Heather, her and I talk about all these kinds of things all the time. And she says, oh, I got a book for you to read. And so I don't know if you can see it. There it is.
Journey of Souls.
Journey of Souls. Yeah. And it's by Michael Newton, who's a PhD. And this has been out for a long time. I mean, I don't remember when it came out or anything, and I didn't remember this book at all, but I know it's been out for a while. And she says, oh, you got to read it. It's kind of a hard read. Yeah, this is the 5th printing, and this is 2023. So it came out in 94. So she says, oh, it's a hard read. It's really thick. You're going to have to take it in pieces and reread it and stuff because it's very clinical. Because this man is he works with childhood trauma with people and things. And so he would do regression. And rather than, he just found that he was regressing people, but they sometimes would go too far into a past life, but sometimes they would go somewhere he didn't understand. And so he started to do some research on, well, where are these people going? Because you're going further than I wanted you to go, but you're not in a past life. So what is this? So it's like this, and it says on here, case studies of life between lives. And that's really what it is. And so it's these different people that he has worked with on this. There you go. And what they see and how they felt and kind of describing. He asked questions and things. It's just a fascinating book. It really is. And it is a little bit thick and heavy. And I don't mean thick this way. I just mean heavy, dense reading. You can also listen to it on YouTube, though. And I think he's got other books out there. But I mean, it's a fascinating thing, He just talks all about it.
I wonder if when they're speaking of somewhere they don't understand, I wonder if they're talking in that in-between stage where they're not neither in heaven or hell. I mean, if they're in that in between.
Well,
Do you think
and the
that
way
could
that
be it?
they're describing it, it's back home. So they're back home. So this place in between our lives is back home. And it's where you originally come from. And it's like being in this energy. It's like all this energy around. So it's not a heaven or hell thing. It's
Right.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
It's
really
like,
is.
gosh, I'm trying to find the words for this because you're right. That is very deep.
It is. I mean, I tell you,
It's kind of like a frequency, a vibration,
yeah, and
energy
some of the people,
manifestation.
some of the people talk about that as being a vibration. Everything is vibrating, which vibrates with all of us who have read any of these kinds of things and have studied any metaphysics, I guess you're what you call that, you know. And but I mean, it's just it's big. It's big,
Yeah.
and it's just like an energy field, but yet everyone's there and not. I don't know. It's weird. And everyone describes it a little bit differently, except there's themes through the whole thing. And one thing that I'm not really describing it well, and any of you who go and read this are going to, what the heck was she talking about? Really, because it's just heavy. But one of the things that I really kind of noticed was that people talked about unpacking the things that they've done in their lives. So, you know, you've always heard, oh, the judgment, you're going to be judged when you get to heaven, you know, right there at the pearly gates, you know, and all this. And there is a judgment, but you're the one judging. You're the one.
So real quick, little Patty asked again, show that book up again. Who wrote the book again? Michael Newton.
Yeah.
PhD. And it's Journey.
It's been out for quite a while. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then
Journey of Soul.
And then Danita asked, do you know if you can get it on Amazon?
I'm sure.
Probably.
You can look it up on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can probably, you know, this is not, where'd she buy it? Oh, she got it up at our local health food store, North Star Wellness. They have it up there. So, I mean, it's in print and it's out there. So you should be able to buy it on Amazon or at a bookstore or whatever, you know, because this is a fairly new one. She just bought this not too terribly long ago, you know, and she managed to make her way through it. She goes, oh, it's heavy.
Right. Well, I mean, what you said, Kathy, is very profound to me because you're saying that we judge ourselves.
Yeah,
we are our own worst critics sometimes. We are our own worst critics.
Well, we are.
We are harder on ourselves at points in our lives where we shouldn't be. So, I mean, could that be a form of what they're calling judgment, the judgment day?
Yeah.
Gosh. Yeah.
If you're the one doing it, you know, and some of these people have, you know, and each of these people go back and they describe things in their own particular way, and everything is a little bit different for them. But that's one thing that I noticed, and I haven't finished the book. What's one thing I've noticed that is kind of a recurring thing is that you're the one unpacking. And when you take it out and you realize what that past memory is and the hurt that you maybe put on somebody, you have to relive their pain from their point of view.
Wow.
Not just look at that from, oh, I felt bad because I hurt your feelings. No, you have to feel what they felt when you did it. That's very heavy. That makes you really want to behave yourself bad.
Oh,
whoa.
You know, that's tough. And that is so tough because at times during our lives when we do things knowingly or not, we hurt people and we don't understand how we made them feel. I mean, this is just one of those things. We just don't understand how we hurt them.
No.
But man, to have to be able to go back and feel that hurt on a judgment day. Wow.
Ouch.
That's
well, it's a lesson. It's life's lesson. So
it is a lesson.
reflecting.
And some of these people say, they're talking about it and they're saying, well, if you've corrected that in yourself, if you've gone back and if you've understood what you've done and you try to keep doing better, that's the whole point behind it, is understanding it in this life and learning it in this life, so you don't have to unpack it in the next life or in the in-between place. Yeah.
Yeah, the
I
in
don't know. This is heavy, very, very heavy.
Yeah. Definitely.
I know.
That just blew my mind. It's poof. Okay, because I hadn't even heard of that book before, Kathy, until you guys just started talking about it. And
No, I
wow.
hadn't either. And my friend Heather goes, oh my God, wait till you read this book. You've got to read this book, because we talk about these things, and she's close to my age, and we talk about how there's more behind us than in front of us, that kind of stuff. But we also have this question, just like we all do, when you've lost your parents or you've lost a brother or sister, your cousins, your loved ones. And, some or all of you out there have done that, lost people. And it's an awful feeling, and you want to understand it. You want to know where are they? Where did they go? And did they come back to me like I feel like they did? I think for a lot of us that are searching and doing this, it's because we have had an experience of some sort. I know I did. I lost my dad when I was 16, and it was absolutely devastating. My family was so completely devastated. It changed our lives entirely. But he was with us. He came back and he was with us for like 3 or 4 months, and we knew he was there. We could feel him. People saw him and said, there was some man standing in your window. And the day that he was gone, we woke up in the morning, and my sisters and we all looked and went, oh my God, he's not here anymore. He's gone. Mm-hmm. You could feel it. It was completely different. But I know he's always riding right here. I know he's my ride or die right there. I can feel it. So if you don't have an experience like that, people on the outside are, well, maybe. But I think a lot of us who are looking have had that kind of experience one way or another. So, I don't know.
And one of the things I think about too is, like my grandson, when he was young, he was 3 or 4 years old, and he got up in the morning and he said, my granny did this or my granny did this. It came and seen me in my sleep. Well, my daughter had a picture of my grandma, up, and he's like, that's my granny. She came, she talked to me in my sleep. So I believe that, but I don't believe like she was a ghost, or like what you were talking about, like their ghost. I think that's that plane that you were talking about, they come back to.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like a higher plane of living, or whatever. It's just a higher consciousness. Consciousness is what I'm trying to say.
I think it's so complicated. There's so much to it that we can't begin to understand, and I mean, I don't know. It leads to more questions, of course, but
I think Jamie Knott made a interesting comment. I'm trying to.
I got it right here.
Most are too busy to notice signs, and I believe they're tapping every soul at times. I agree with that. I did not grow up believing in the paranormal. I come from a very Christian background, and that was not something that we thought of. I don't ever remember, I've lost all of my grandparents. I've lost a lot of family members. I've lost close friends, and I don't ever recall having that connection of feeling like they're there with me. Though I know that they are. Does that make sense? I know that they're there, but I've never felt it. I think that when you do cross over, that you do have people watching over you, but I've just not felt it.
Felt that
and
that presence.
Could be because I haven't been opened up to it before.
Right. Could be. Because I remember a time when you were not a believer in the paranormal too. So.
I told you I was full of crap.
Yep.
Yeah, there was a time.
There was a
Yeah.
time. Yeah, so, I mean, I do believe like you have to be open to it too. I have a friend
You
who
do.
lost her dad last year, yeah, it was last year, and her mom, was just grieving her dad so bad, and she reached out to me. She's like, how he's not here. I don't, I can't feel him. I'm like, have you opened your eyes? Like songs, smells, freaking cardinal bird, just something, it will click, and you'll know that was him. And sure enough, she messaged me, and she found something that it was like an old card or something that he had left for her like years ago. And that was her sign she felt. And she messaged me to let me know that. So, you just have to be open to it. And that's what I told her, open your eyes to this stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I think my encounter with my father was very profound for me, because I have his ashes and they're in my home. And even though I have never felt anything from those ashes or anything like that until this had happened, I am late for work. My keys are missing. I can't find my keys, and I am looking frantically because I hate being late for work. And I'm running around and I am looking, did I put them on my bed? Did I put them on the nightstand? Are they in the bathroom? I have no idea. So I run out to the living room and I'm looking, in the kitchen and around, and I come over to the dining room, and then I hear my dad's voice just say, "Well, Brandy, they're on the table." And it was his voice.
Right.
It was his voice. And said, "Well, Brandy, they're on the table." I turn and look, right there on the table were my keys. And I probably looked
That's awesome.
at that table 100 times that morning and did not see them.
Yeah, I think that's
So I
pretty
mean,
cool.
it's just something like that really lets me know, he may not be here every day. He may not be haunting me or that thing, but it's just kind of like, I believe they have the power to pop in when you need a little bit of guidance, when you need a little bit of help, or just, they want to just check on you. I think they have that power to just pop in and say, "Hey,
Yep.
how
Or
are
when they
you?"
feel like they feel like maybe you need it, you're going through something, and they're not here in life, but they're still with you. So I do believe that they are with you.
I do
You
too.
may not realize it, but they are.
Yeah. Yeah. I do believe
We
that.
have
I
a
mean,
lot of guardians.
yeah.
I think we do. Sometimes they're
And-
people we know, and sometimes they're people we don't know.
Yeah. I believe they can reach out and touch you in the most unbelievable moments. When you think that your life is falling apart, you just feel this sensation, or you get some kind of sign that says, "You know what? This will be okay." As my mom always said throughout her entire life, and still says it today, "This too shall pass." She
Absolutely.
always told me that.
Yeah.
So if I ever get that, when my mom passes away, I think she's going to outlive me anyway. But when my mom passes, I think that is going to be one thing that I'm going to hear from her. Because there's going to, there's going to, thank you. There's going to be that moment, and I'm going to hear that from her.
Yeah, you will.
And if I don't hear it from her, I'll read it somewhere, or I'll see it, or I'll
It'll be
see
a
something that'll
sign, or
remind me.
you'll be sent
Yeah.
a sign of some sort. Yes, you
Yeah.
will. I believe that. I really do. I see things like that, and I get sent signs, and that knowing, that's
exactly.
that's always been with
And
me.
there's no doubt in your mind that that is your loved one. There's no doubt.
It's true.
You
Yvette
can.
says you also get visitations as you dream also.
Oh, I believe in that too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I believe a lot of things happen in your dreams.
Yeah.
And being visited can be one of them. Absolutely. I mean, of course, there's the whole astral projection and teleportation, or whatever you want to call it these days. I mean, there's that stuff. But when you're sound in your body and you're sleeping and have that vivid dream.
Right.
You know, that's just one of those things that just like kick me in the hind end and go, hey, you know, you need to pay attention to what's going on here, because I don't have vivid dreams very often. But when I do, they've got something to tell me. There's a message being told, and it could be about a friend. I mean, Kathy, I think I came to you at one point when I first met you. I had a dream about you, and I think it was your parents that I were talking about. I didn't know who I was talking about until I asked you about it, and you're like, "Oh yeah, that's my parents." So I mean, it's just those things. Like when I get those
I
vivid
do
dreams,
remember
that's
that.
when I have to pay attention.
Yeah. And you know what I find amazing, this isn't just stuff that's been happening to just us now, this generation, or in the last 20 or 30 years. You know, there's historical writings where people have talked about these things for centuries. I mean, that's where all of these books come from, all of these things, you know, all of the big faith books and everything from, I mean, there has to be something to all this. There just has to
Yeah,
be.
this is not a new concept. This is not
None of
new.
it. None of it is a new concept.
I mean,
We're just
you know,
trying to
we talked
understand.
about Egypt and how, you know, they would mummify, you know, their loved ones and all of this other kind of stuff because they believed that they were going to rise from the dead, that they were going to exist on a different plane or the one they were living on. But they wanted to ensure that they had everything they needed to go into that next
Absolutely
plane.
everything. All those things. All those, and all of those, I can't remember what they call the small little figurines of themselves that will do all the jobs for you. And I mean, it's pretty fascinating when you start really reading and listening to about their afterlife rituals and how present it was for them in their daily life. You know, it's been that way forever. So, yeah.
I mean, some of them would get buried with horses, their dogs, just you name it, and and
True.
it's kind of weird to say, but I did read a story or two where they would bury their servants with them.
Oh yes, and wives.
Yeah, when it wasn't their time. I'm just gonna say.
You know, that's funny because like you all know, you guys, you three know that I have a dog who is totally up my husband's butt. What he says goes. Like she won't listen to me.
I love Willow.
If he's around. Yeah, Willow is her name. She's a blue healer.
I love her.
I tease Ray and I tell him, like, if you go before me, I'm going to have to off your dog because she's got to go with you because she won't listen to me. Like,
I'll take her.
I'm not kidding. I am kidding about that, just so you know.
I know.
I tease him about that because it's funny because she doesn't.
We
listen.
kid about it, but it's kind of like, what are we gonna do with that particular animal when you know their person is gone?
Yeah.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
When
a lot of them die
gone.
shortly after, though. A lot of them die shortly after. So my grandma, this is a true story. My grandma had a little black poodle. His name was Jojo when she passed away. And Jojo only lived a very, very short time, just like maybe 3 months. And then he died. And he wasn't an old dog. My mom kept him. And, you know, I mean, there was nothing like, you know, he was well taken care of. But I think he died of grief.
Oh,
and
I'm
that
sure.
could be. That could be.
And I believe people do that.
I've read stories like that.
People are married for so many years, you know, and one spouse goes, and it's not long after the other goes, you know.
That's happened in my family. They say, you know, the folklore is they died of a broken heart, but you know, one of them died before the other, and it was unexpected. And the one wasn't sick, but 3 weeks later, she was dead. She just had taken care of him and everything. Give up.
Yeah. We you know, I mean, because we've talked about what happened with what I called my 2 little old men, my little dachshund dogs, and a couple weeks ago I had to put one down because I was just watching him deteriorate quickly, you know, and we're talking about within days. We're not talking about months. It was just days. And his brother, which they were litter mates and they were bonded from the get-go.
Right.
he grieved in a way that I'd never seen from an animal. I mean, you've seen them where they're depressed and they kind of lay around and da 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 da. But he would sit there and he would howl and he would howl and he would what we would call talk because he likes to talk. He's like, "Arr, arr, arr, arr." But he would do that constantly at night when he didn't have his brother to cuddle up with, because I mean, they were like yin and yang, you know, one was brown, one was black, and they were just, it was like yin and yang every night. And this has gone on for 30.
Did Brandy freeze up?
Yep.
Uh-oh.
All right, am I back?
You're back. You're back.
Okay, I'm back now. Anyway, so they cuddled up like this for 13 years. And it was very hard for him to function without his I don't know, his extension of his body, his you know, his other appendage. I don't know what you want to call it, but it was just his extent. They just didn't do anything without each other. And of course, when one would run off, the other one would run off. You know, they were led away by their nose. They'd smell something like a squirrel and they were out of there.
Sounds like a beagle.
But I mean, animals grieve too. Animals definitely grieve too. And
seriously,
and I mean, he really, yeah, and he was really the one that's still alive is my dog and has always been my dog. But he's really sucked up to my daughter now. He really looks for her, talks to her. You know, I think that's just his new person, you know, his new bond, and that he needs her, and that he needs her. So I'm like, well, now you're stuck with the dog.
And you know, she probably needs him.
Yeah, she sat and cuddled with him for hours, days on end after we put his brother down. So I think that's just his new bond that he has. Yeah. So I mean, it's a really special thing.
It really is. Yeah, I think animals definitely love and have all the same emotions that we do, you know. But their love is unconditional, you know. They're not grudge holders like we are.
Nope, they're not. Well, I have a horse that is. That's true.
Well,
Red's a grudger. kind of a little bit like possum.
Yeah, your horse's name might be Red. That does that?
Yeah, it could be. Bit of a grudger.
Yeah, he has a grudge.
Right.
But for the most part, animals, you know, and you know, I think it's amazing how animals love unconditionally like that, and like you said, grieve. And you know, the thing is, that's why, Brandy, I truly believe that your dog is leaning more towards Abby, because what did you tell me? She had a rough time with your dog's passing. Your dog can sense that. Your dog can sense that. The living
and they're right there for you. Dogs are so good about that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
They really
exactly.
They know when we're hurting. They do.
You know, it would be. I mean, if we could ever in one day understand what our animals are thinking, you know, wouldn't it be fun to see what their past lives were? Were they ever human, or were they always an animal? You know, I mean, that's the kind of stuff, you know, that keeps me up at 3 a.m.
I mean,
that's my 3 a.m. thoughts.
Those are 3 a.m. thoughts. They're heavy ones. They sit there like the Chinese food you ate for dinner.
Right.
Right.
It's true though.
But
I don't know.
But jumping back to past lives, there was a woman that is very well known. You can find her anywhere. You can Google her. You can find her on YouTube. You can find a documentary about her. But her name was Dorothy Eady. And
I know that one.
Yeah, because when she was born, now this was, you know, in the 1900s, of course. That's when we were born, ladies. Just to let you know, in the 1900s.
Yeah, we were.
Or some of us a little further back, but you know.
She was a very extraordinary case of having past life memories. she again started at a very young age, and she was telling her parents about, okay, I lived in this house, but it had pillars, and she started talking about other things that she could remember where she lived, and I mean, some of these things got so outlandish that people would think that she's a little bit nuts. As a young child, they would think that she was nuts. So she, they wouldn't want a babysitter or be around her or have their kids around her or whatever. But the husband and wife decided one night that they were going to go to a museum. They were going to have a night out alone. Well, they could not find a babysitter, of course, because everybody thought that little Dorothy was nuts. And so they ended up taking her. Right. So they ended up taking her to the museum, and then they came up to this Egyptian exhibit within the museum. Now, she must have been 4 or 5 at the time, and everything within her clicked. It's kind of like when she started seeing, the artifacts and the pictures and all of this stuff, she's like, this is it. This is where I used to live. This is it. And then she actually got to see one of the mummies that were there. And she said, these are my people.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, these are my people. That's not something you hear a 4 or 5-year-old say. These are my people.
No.
So
no.
Well, yeah, I know it's super crazy. And she came across a photograph of a particular building, or the certain kind of architecture, but she said that was where I lived. That was it.
Wow.
But it was back in the Egyptian times. And the funny part of it is that we hear lots of stories about these children having these memories. And usually between the ages of 2 to 6 is usually where they go.
Yep.
And then after that, they kind of grow. I don't want to say grow out of it, but they kind of forget. They kind of forget about that stuff. But she never did.
Wow.
She lived with these memories her whole entire existence. And there is a documentary out there, and you can find it on YouTube. And you just listen to her just talk. And when she describes the stuff.
Dorothy, what was her name?
You can look it up. Dorothy Eady. Eady. Dorothy Eady.
Eady. Okay. Dorothy
Eady. And, and when she talks about it just like we would talk about a place we've been. That can describe it and talk about it and hey, you need to go to this place, because we've been there. We've seen it. And the way she talks about it is just really, really it's extraordinary, which she is a rare case, because, like I said, most children, they grow out of these memories when they're like I said, 2 to 6. And then they just kind of, I don't want to say grow out of it, because they don't. They just kind of move on to other things.
Yeah. Right.
They just stop. Yeah. They stop remembering at that point.
Yeah. But there's some real stuff
stories
out there. Yeah. People say kids will start telling their parents, you're not my mommy and daddy, or, I was in another mommy's tummy, and, things like that. That's how it starts. And then these kids, as you said, Brandy, it's major event, or it's names they're getting, or, I think we've all, a lot of us have heard about the boy who was the World War II pilot in a past life,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
There's so much to all of that. I do a lot of genealogy, my own genealogy, because I'm primarily a historian. You all probably already know that. And so I've always wanted to know history, mostly because of how it related to my own ancestors. And I always wanted to know who the people were that came before me. So, I keep doing this genealogy. So when I was a young girl, though, before I ever did that, I married a guy and we moved overseas and we lived in England for a while. In all these different places, I had always been drawn to this place, to England in general, just so drawn. And I would go to these places and go, man, I've been here before. This is so cool. This is so right. So fast forward 40 years, I'm doing all of this genealogy and being able to pinpoint where people came from. I had ancestors in almost every single one of the places I ever felt that way for. We had people that came before me. So it's like an ancestral memory, or else it's either an ancestor is still living through me, or I was that person. I don't know, but it's very strong. It's so very strong. So
they
strong.
say pay attention with the deja vu too.
Oh
Same
yeah,
thing. You know,
yeah.
Like that's they say that, you know, past life.
Mhm.
I get
Oh,
that.
Yeah,
definitely.
and I
Sure.
believe that
Speaks in
there
a lot of ways.
is a lot to deja vu, a lot to it. You know, because that kind of brings me to the next kind of segment that I wanted to talk about. And this is where it gets very strange. Go ahead.
I was just laughing at Shade here. He said, in a previous life, I was once a moderator for some channel, and then once a year I would say, please like and subscribe.
Well, thanks, Shade. I appreciate you. And hit that thumbs up too, by the way, while you're there. But I mean, I did some research, you know, and I was looking into the whole Dorothy Eady story and how this all happened to her, because I do find it fascinating, but it kind of led me down a rabbit hole. And I mean, a big rabbit hole, to where I got into talking about time fractures, overlapping time. You know, it really set me on this journey that I'm still not finished with. Now I'm so intrigued on it that I just keep reading about it. And one of the things that I ran across was it's called the 1988 anomaly theory. Okay. And I was like,
Sounds familiar.
what happened in 1988? You know what I mean? I'm just trying to think what happened in 1988 that was so special, you know? And I wrote it all down so I wouldn't forget some of this. But 1988 actually started this theory, which is like a 12-year reset. It's a time reset. So in 1988, we had a reset, and it was a big one. It's when all of the Mandela effect started. That's when all of those things that we remember one way, but yet they weren't.
They're different.
Or they say they weren't. They're different now. And we've talked about it several times. We've had a show on it, Krista, talking about, I mean, what are some ones you can think of right now? The cornucopia and Fruit of the Loom. Okay.
And Fruit of the Loom, yeah.
Right. There's that one. There's the GIF or the Jiffy. There's the, you know, the Mr. Peanut with the monocle or without the monocle. You know,
Fruit Loop, there was a bunch of them.
Yeah. I mean, right. So, I mean, so I got into looking at that and I'm like, well, yeah, that's when that kind of all started, when all those things that we remember, but they're not quite right. So that's what they were talking about, the first initial time reset that they could pinpoint. Now they're saying that every 12 years that this happens. Now the next time reset was the Y2K, 2000. Okay, so we all remember that. Now, there was supposed to be this big problem with electronics and blah, blah, blah. Not necessarily the case. You know, we didn't have all the problems that they were considering, but this is when they started talking about the Mayan calendar. This is when all of this stuff started coming into effect. And even though it wasn't a big reset, it was just a little bit. They're finding out there are different things out there to guide us in different directions, not necessarily the way that has been depicted to us in history.
Mhm.
Okay, so think about back in 1988.
I was in high school.
Okay. Right. We were
I had my first baby.
finishing up. That's all.
Became a mom.
There. Right. So so between 2000 is where the Mayan calendar thing began, but in 2012 is where it started to hit heavy about the Mayan calendar.
Yep.
It also started the everyone is dead theory in 2012. Now, which is another, again, reset where the theory is coming out. Well, maybe we're all just not here. Maybe we are the ones living on the plane. Maybe we are the ones that aren't on Earth. This is just a different plane that we're living on. It's that theory. And I'm thinking, wait, what do you mean? That we've already lived our life and now we're into the next one? Are we on this superficial plane in between? What are we doing? And Kathy, that's what I was amazed about, because I'm like, wow, think about that with the book you're reading. It's kind of like the same thing. It's like, are we in that in between right now?
Mhm.
We're just kind of existing in a different plane, like energy. I mean, I know they talk about atoms and molecules and blah blah blah, but we're just energy. We're none of the above. We're just energy.
Absolutely.
And this is how we're seeing ourselves.
Yeah.
As
it's
energy.
collective
This is how
agreement. We all agree on it.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So, so that theory came out, and let me tell you, I cannot go over this and explain it so much. And I hope I'm trying to do the best I can, because again, this is very heavy, it's very deep. You have to have an open mind to go into this 1988 anomaly theory, because the next reset was 2024. Now, even though, again, it wasn't a major reset, I mean, we still have our memories of things that happened the past 12 years. Nothing has changed. But did anybody notice there was glitches in the matrix? Did anybody notice that things weren't quite right? Like, everybody's talking about it all over the internet, all over YouTube, all of this other kind of stuff about glitches in the matrix. And it was really big in 2024. So, I mean, you could watch a video and then you see somebody walking through a crowd and then boop, they're gone.
They're gone. Mhm.
Just gone. And the video hasn't been tampered with. It's just stuff like that where they're talking about there's all these little glitches that happen, and it's still happening. So I'm wondering what's going to be in it for, the next 12 years. I mean, gosh.
Interesting.
I
Do we
don't
want to
know
know?
what's going to happen in the next 12 years. So, I mean, like I said, the
No,
whole.
I have to figure it out as I go along. I can't. Don't push me up there yet. I'll have a heart attack.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's kind of
No time
strange, but I
travel,
mean,
please.
every 12 years, something is coming around, a new theory, something, something is kind of weird every 12 years. And I noticed that as I read more into it, that, yeah, every 12 years, something is weird. I mean, like I said, it may not be the big one like in 1988, but think about this, 2024. What do you see in 2024? You see the 80s toys in like all the stores. You see the 80s clothes are coming back. The 80s hairstyles are coming back. It's just kind of like all of this stuff is just kind of like popping its way back through.
Oh yeah, I see that a lot. All these things that people are saying are old, and look at this, how cool it is. I'm like, oh, it was there once. That's okay.
Yeah, mullets.
Right, but I have seen the 80s more so than I have any other, like the 60s and the 70s, and I've seen the 80s more prominent than I've seen any other decade.
I wonder if it has to do with the coming of age of those people, the people maybe that were they're younger. They all of a sudden, how you look back and you fall in love with a time period when you look back, and maybe that's just the one that people are going for. I don't know. I don't know. I have
Strange.
to think about that. That
It's
it
very
is strange.
It is very strange.
Because it's a collective awareness. Like it's something that,
Right.
they say that whole 99th monkey theory of, it takes 99 monkeys, and then after the 99th monkey has learned something, then the whole species knows. That whole theory of mass learning.
Yeah.
Maybe that's kind of what it is.
I've not ever heard that.
Oh man, I've read some weird stuff in my life. I just can't remember any of it.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, they're just kind of like, well, I hope I remember that correctly.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I mean,
because a lot of the things that people are talking about and reading about, and all of these homesteading things and all of this stuff, that was all very popular when I was 18. In 1974 and 70, and that. So it's like it's all come back around, and they're talking about all this stuff, and it's like, yeah, we've been there. We did that once. Do you remember? No, you didn't know that.
It just all keeps coming back
It does.
full circle over and over.
It does, and a lot of it though is the spiritual stuff too, and because it doesn't ever seem to really go away. I think people they read things and they move on, and then they keep thinking about it, and new things happen. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I wish I could remember half of what I've read. We read some really weird stuff back in the 70s.
If I could be just as smart as half of what I've read, you know what I mean? It's just like, oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, it's a really cool theory.
It is.
I just, it again is very deep, very heavy, very, yeah, it's just one of those things that it's a thinker. It is definitely a thinker, for
Absolutely.
sure. And I mean, are these time fractures, where we're like in that deja vu mode? Honestly, I mean, is it we're reliving something again because we're doing it on a different level, different plane? Is that it?
There is that. There is the idea that there's multi-universes, that the same action is lived out with different reactions all throughout. And I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. I don't know. It's weird.
I don't know. This topic is crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
There's a way though, I was reading too, that you can actually like meditate and go and find out like your past life and things like that. And I find that interesting. And that's just, by doing meditation and, asking your guides to, help you to find your past life and what you were and what you did. And I don't know. I just find that all interesting. I've never tried to do that, but I'm not saying I won't.
I don't know. I honestly don't know if I could. I don't know if I could get myself in that deep consciousness where I could do that.
I have never been able to do that
without help.
Yeah. Well, they say like you ask your guides to take you back to the Akashic records, and then because that's all of your lives are in there, and so you ask your guides to take you back there and show you, and then supposedly you can see what you were or who you were, and I don't know. I'd be kind of interested to do that. However, I'm not sure I'd want to know the true answer.
I know. It's kind of like, do I really want to know? I mean, it's a
like
past life. Who cares now, right?
Yeah, you might not.
Who cares now, right? That's it. That's a past life. We don't care about that now.
Yeah.
But I don't. They do have these therapists that can put you into that trance-like state,
yeah,
and pull you back to to your past life. Now, I've heard some recordings, and I just don't know what to think about it. I just don't know. I mean, I've had like somebody tell me about their thoughts and feelings and what they thought that had happened in a past life, this, that, or the other, but I am not so sure. I mean, I guess do I have to try it? I don't know.
Well, you know what? Here, T-Bone asked a good question, and I don't know. This is something that we've all seen work, but what about looking for your past lives wearing the God's helmet?
I think that would require more than 20 minutes, and you don't want to be using that.
Well, yeah, maybe
longer
so.
than 20 minutes. So I don't recommend that.
But do you think it would
that.
be possible?
That would be a Terry Mosby question, honestly.
Yeah.
Because when she uses that God helmet, she can use it very well, very easily. That would be her question.
So Jill Remensnyder, she says, past life regression is a trip. I did it. My mind was blown, especially when I recognized other people in the past life. That's really cool. Could you imagine that?
That's what I mean. Do I just need to try this to figure it out? Because, I mean, would it be cool? And I mean, do I really want to know? Sure, why not? Like I said, it's a past life. We can't go back to it. We can't change it, but would it be interesting to know? Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. It's just kind of like your own family tree. Would it be nice to know who all of your relatives were? Sure.
Sure would.
Sure, because you know where you came from. Absolutely.
G says, I used to do past life regressions. It was always therapeutic for the person. And I could see that too, because maybe, like they say, a lot of your issues you have in this life are a reflection of what happened in your past life. And maybe it could be therapeutic. Why couldn't it be?
Well, then we need to do it, because I need to figure it out, because, this year, 2025, and, everything past 2019, I want to redo.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you.
I would definitely have made different choices. Definitely made different choices.
Yeah.
I mean, just it's certain things I know, but if we could learn, if we could learn by doing this, would it be worth it?
Sure. Here's a question for you. And, Little Patty says, I was cursed in a past life, and that curse has followed me in this lifetime. I know it, can't prove it, but I know it. That's interesting.
Right. But we have talked about generational curses before.
Yeah. Right. But is that a generational curse? Because that's usually a family line. Past life is different than a generational curse. You know what I'm saying? So does it stick with the soul?
Mm-hmm.
It may. Again,
I don't want to think I would be your own ancestors.
Yeah.
You would think that it stuck with the family that was cursed versus a person.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. It's things that make you go, because I don't know.
I don't know. It's that whole Mandela effect. I don't know. I don't know what happened. Something happened.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, you guys. I don't know. Do I believe there is life after death? Absolutely, I do.
Oh, I do.
I do too.
I figured that day.
There's so many books I've read in the past.
Right. That day that I pass, I'll know everything I need to know about every cryptid. Ever.
Right. That's what I'm saying. We'll have all of our questions answered about Bigfoot and,
I know. We'll have all that information.
I sit here and I think about so this show's dedicated to my cousin and he was one person that, he knew what I did and he always gave me a hard time in a lovingly way. It wasn't that he was making fun of me or looking down upon me or anything like that. It was, just joking way. And
right.
Now he knows Bigfoot's real. Just saying.
Yeah, he does. He does.
He's giving you so much grief over that too. He
has to. Seriously, now I can say, I told you so. I can really say that now. I told you so. Bigfoot's real.
See?
Yeah, exactly.
Now tell Ray.
Yeah. Right.
It's like,
So,
how do you like them apples? Okay.
yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But then, part of me, and I've even seen people ask in chat, like, okay, this life is life. We have ups and downs, and life is a roller coaster, as we all know. And then, we pass away, and then, people come back as somebody else. Why? Why would we want to come back as somebody else? Do we have to? Or is it just because we need to learn these lessons? Or, because from what I hear, heaven's a whole lot better than here on earth. So I personally wouldn't want to come back.
No, unless you have to, because you haven't learned your lessons.
Well, that's true.
Right. I mean,
that's kind of the whole point. You have to learn your lessons.
Yeah, but that brings me to reincarnation.
Yeah.
That we come back as different things to teach us lessons. I don't know, what those lessons are. It's not my department to know. It's his. Anyway, it's his, not my department. But I mean, if you were coming back and being reincarnated into another person, I mean, how would you feel like that? What about if, like, say in one life, you had the love of your life and you lost them to something, no matter what, but you lost them early. And then you were reincarnated into another life, but you still had to find that particular, your soulmate, that particular one. And you just kind of wander aimlessly trying to find them.
They come back as different people, or and they might come in for a minute and leave again. I mean, I've read all kinds of different theories on that, on your soulmates and how it, it travels like this stream, and you just kind of come together, and you always meet them, but you won't always be with them. I don't know. I don't. I've read so many things over the years. Oh my God. Some of these books that go way back. And but they all have a very similar sort of idea, is that you're trying to get to a higher plane, a higher consciousness, and it's a vibration. It's all these different things. There's all these different sort of aspects and names for it, but it's all similar stuff, and it's all about learning.
This, like Joe says here, isn't reincarnation just a remembrance of a past life?
Yes, that's all it is. Yeah.
Yep.
If you've been reincarnated, that means you have a past life.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that means, the whole coming back, but should you have your memories? I mean, when you're reincarnated, should you have your memories, or do you start off with a blank slate again? I mean, it's like, it's the same soul. Like we talk about old souls and new souls. I mean, is it the same soul, or are we starting blank again?
Yeah.
For what purpose? I don't know, but I mean, are we starting blank again? There's a case of this little boy named Ryan. Okay, we're gonna start off with him. Anyway, he was having memories of a man who had died 50 years previous to when he was born. Now he was born in the Midwest, and he would dream, or not dream, but have memories of Marty Martin. That was his name, Marty Martin, who was a person who lived in Hollywood, started off as being an extra, a little movie extra, but he became a huge Hollywood agent. Okay. And this boy, Ryan, even though he would tell certain memories or things that he remembered, there were some things that were a little off, but he got most of it right. Talking about this man, talking about what type of house he lived in, the pool at the house. Okay. Talking about the pool at the house, all these other kind of things, but he remembered all of this. So I'm sitting there going, huh, And he's just a little kid living in the Midwest. So it just makes me wonder. I mean, he became this Hollywood agent. So maybe he got a little bit too big for his britches as a Hollywood agent. So when he came back as Brian, he's a little bit more humbled.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's not this big, huge, thing that's happening out there. I don't know. I mean, is it to teach us a lesson to be reincarnated? I mean,
I think so.
It's got to be to teach us a lesson.
That's why we keep coming back. That's why we keep coming back. So
yeah,
Barbara says same soul energy frequency when reincarnated, but remember the small lessons, learned but don't know why. True.
Right. Because I always laugh about this. I have this theory that there are old souls and there are new souls.
Yes.
I just have this thing. Now I have
I would agree with
a
that.
daughter. My oldest daughter, I believe she's an old soul. She has some wisdom to her that you're just kind of like,
not old enough to understand it.
And she say things that, she says things like my great grandma would say. It's just like she has this soul to her. Now, my youngest daughter, and I have a son in between, but my youngest daughter, she's a new soul all the way. Bam. It's like it's a new day every day. Let's get up, get at it. She's just a new soul all the way around. Like she hasn't learned those life lessons. Like she has. This is her first turn on earth. You know what I mean? And I do feel that about a lot of people. Because there are some people that I'm very drawn to that have wisdom. They just have this unbelievable amount of wisdom, and I'm just really drawn to those type of people. But I've always noticed too that the new soul theory that I have is kind of like they're just kind of bubbly, and it's just everything is just brand spanking new. It's like,
and I wonder,
yet, have you?
Like how many times a soul can come back? Is there a number on that?
I don't know. See, I'm the black sheep here because I think once you're gone, you're gone. That's just my opinion, and I know it's not the more common opinion, but I think once you've passed, there's no coming back. That's not in reference. That is. Let me see. How do I explain that? As a new person, I think I do believe in the paranormal. I think that there are stuff, out there after you pass. But I think once you're gone, you're gone. There's no coming back as a new one.
Well, as in being reincarnated.
Yeah.
Well, because that opens another can of worms, Aaron. Thank you. Because then I'm like, what happens to all the souls?
Every belief
Where's all the
system,
souls? Where did they go?
belief systems, yeah, they all have their different ideas on things like that. So
yeah, it's just kind of like I said, it's like Aaron. Okay, now, so if they don't come back, where do they go? What do they do? Do they just hang out? I mean, I don't know. Is it kind of like living in a an assisted living center where everybody just kind of hangs out and just chills? This is what's happening? This is where I'm like, don't start me down another road, because then I'm going to have to dig into that and find out, I mean, because I'm very open to all the theories, only because
that's the neat thing about it. All of these things, all the religions, they all have their concepts, and they all have the same messages, but it's like each one goes at a different path. So have you ever read any Joseph Campbell, who wrote that book Hero with a Thousand Faces? Have you ever read that?
Yes.
That's kind of that whole theory,
but I've definitely heard
of it. Yeah. Well, it's like we're all traveling to the same point. But there's many paths to get there. Now, there's religions that don't believe any other path is the right path, and then there's those that do, but if you look at all the world's religions, and they're all really very similar, the belief systems, it's so similar, there has to be truth in all of it, to me. That's my own opinion, in my humble opinion. But it's just, I don't know, so many different paths.
Yeah, religion. I try to stay away from that in general, because there are so many different beliefs.
Oh, there are, and you have to respect it all, because it's just safe, So I mean, I'm kind of the same way. I mean, I was raised a Methodist, kind of loosely based and all of that, but yet very central too. I mean, I grew up hearing all the old Bible stories and all of that kind of thing. And I've always been very drawn to all of that. Is it right? Is it wrong? It's just a matter of your own faith. That's really all that is. But I just think that it seems odd. Everybody's going the same way.
Yeah.
But it's all spiritual.
Really. But like I said, with Erin and her belief system right there, that just shot like 1,000 questions to me again. It's just kind of like thinking along the lines of her view. And it's like, well, where do they go? What are they doing? I mean, is there a place for them? I mean,
that's another show.
Exactly. Is there a different purpose that they're going to serve? Blah, blah, blah. See, too many questions. There's just way too many questions there for me. I mean, I guess this is kind of like a lifelong learning thing too, and we're not going to know. We're not going to know until it's our time. You know what?
Right.
All these.
So we're going to learn out what happens after, and all about Bigfoot. We're going to learn 2 really good things.
Bigfoot, tell us about this.
Bigfoot, let me know what's happening with this.
Dog man. No dog man.
No, that's why I was saying Bigfoot. I think we got a better chance with Bigfoot. But I mean, it's just kind of like, I believe in trying to learn everything that you can. I mean, keep your mind open to every theory that you can. Because I believe that this also lets your mind open, lets you get on a higher consciousness level. So when it's your time, I mean, it's going to be a much easier transition. I think that it'll be much easier.
That is a lot of it. I myself don't really worry about death. There's a cat coming.
No, we have cats.
But maybe how I go would be a bigger concern rather than what's on the other side. I think that's, I don't know.
Yeah, I just want the transition to be easy. You know what I mean?
Let's make this easy. But I think
I don't want to be surprised. I just want to go, okay. So I'd be like, okay, so Kathy was right.
Oh, Krista
was right. Aaron was right.
Mouser.
That's why I had to get up. I heard the door open a while ago, so I had to go shut it so none of the others escaped.
And Mickey, Jack, and the kitties are just fine. Thank you. I haven't been able to answer you.
They're all hanging out.
Those of you that are coming to our conference, you will get to go to the Ray County Museum where Kathy and Aaron are now. And Kathy has a dog named Jack that has adopted her. And then how many cats you got there now? Like 5?
4. Vinny is at the other house, so there's 5 altogether, but 4 live here.
She really does have 5 cats, but however, she didn't get any of them.
No, I did not.
That's what I said. Explain to everybody what happened, that you are really not the crazy cat lady.
No.
Well, she is now, but that's okay. We still love her.
Right.
Well, when people throw away their animals, I can't stand it. It makes me very angry. So when we lived at the ranch, there was just cats that showed up that people have dumped. And there were cats that people brought over. Oh, they'll make good barn cats. Well, they're house cats. They're not going to make good barn cats. And so there was just these few cats that I just couldn't stand it. I said, okay, these are mine. I'm going to take care of them. I got them all fixed. I did too.
She did.
You know,
She's taking care of them all.
but I did. It was because I didn't want them to have bad lives. You know?
And there was actually more cats than what she has.
God, yes.
Because I know your son took one.
I
took one. I have one of your cats, not the one that makes her appearance here. We've got a farm, and that one goes to the farm. But yeah,
Tony has one.
Yeah, Tony took one.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of other people I know have taken them because I had to farm them out. These are ones I couldn't find homes for, you know, but it was okay. I fell in love with them anyway. So now I'm a crazy cat lady, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. So anybody who
turned into my mother
will get to see all the crazy cats and Jack. So
yeah, they're fun. Yeah. They're very fun.
This has been a really interesting conversation, though. I mean, it has. For me, I have more questions than I started with.
I know I do. You know, and I've just barely started into this particular book, and I sure wish I could remember some of the other things I've read over the last 50 years. But, you know, it's just a constant search for answers and to try to understand it. And I think it's what resonates with you, that's what you have to kind of go with, I think. But,
sure.
I don't know. It's been a good one.
It's definitely a new belief system. Yeah,
absolutely.
I think it's definitely a new belief system. And that's why I think I like to be open, because I don't want surprises.
Me too.
You know?
No.
Yep.
I'd just rather do that, you know, and learn all I can, because I think everybody's viewpoint on the subject is fascinating.
It is fascinating, very valid. It is, you know, I mean, it's.
I think it's one of there's no right or wrong with this, because we just don't know.
Not really.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Riley Ivy says, would have loved to get some answers, but it was a good show. You know, that's the thing, Riley. We don't have the answers. You know, like I said, you know, I have more
searchers, just like you.
Right. Than when we started, you know.
Exactly.
So,
I mean, you kind of have to find that answer out.
Right.
In your own studies, I guess. In your own studies. Whether that be, you know.
I got to plug in my laptop. I'll be right back. It's about to die.
Okay. I mean, that has to be in the whole, you know, if you go with your Christian beliefs, or you go with your Muslim beliefs, or your Jewish beliefs, whatever beliefs that you have, whatever your higher power is, I mean, you're going to have to just really dig in deep and you know, ask the questions. I mean, because we're never going to get the answers. It's not going to be that easy. No, it's not ever going to be that easy. So, I mean, but I mean, for the most part.
Thank you, little Patty.
I mean, I mean, out of all the subjects I think that we have talked about on this show, in even just with us girls, I mean, with all the stuff that we talk about, this one has to be the hardest.
Yeah, it is the hardest. It is. It really hits home for us, you know. I mean, it is kind of the whole point. You know, that's where we're headed.
Yeah,
so.
You know, I mean, we all know that this is going to happen one day. We all know this. I mean, it doesn't make it any easier, but we all know this. But I mean, the questions just keep coming, and like I said, this whole question about, is there life after death? Is there time fractions? Blah blah blah. I'll be just questioning my whole life. There'll be no end to this for me.
Yep.
No,
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Until I get my answers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So real quick, appreciate everybody tuning in tonight for sure. And I'm just going to talk really, really briefly. We did not talk about the Crossing Realms conference. And we've got a bunch of speakers. We've got a bunch of special guests. And it is hosted by the Island of Misfits, which you're looking at a couple of us now. So we have added.
And tours are, oh, don't forget, tours are going to be available at the museum. Those are on Eventbrite also, so make sure you sign up for those.
Yep, absolutely. And we added a couple we added one speaker and one special guest. And Martin Groves is not yet on the flyer. We got to get Jason on it. Thank you again, T-Bone, for that.
Thank you, T-Bone.
But yeah, so we've added Martin Groves. He's going to be speaking on that Friday night. And then Tex added Dale Boswell. And I was told that he is a country music musician who has Bigfoot on his property.
Oh,
yeah. So maybe
And
we can get a conference. Get a conference concert, you know?
Exactly. I mean, he's played with some major ones out there. I think he said Merle Haggard, Waylon Jennings. There was a few others that I can't remember off the top of my head.
He from Texas?
Maybe.
I'm not sure where he's from. I don't believe he's from Texas.
What was his name again?
Dale Boswell.
Boswell.
Yeah. So
we'll have to look at that.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. So if you guys are in the area or not, because, we have people coming from all over the United States.
Gary says Dale from Alabama.
All right. Alabama.
Okay. Thanks, Gary. But so come on over to the Crossing Realms conference. Part of this is going towards the museum, the Ray County Museum, because without our history,
so much. Thank you.
It or not, our history is gone. So, it's to keep the doors open, on the museum. And once you come there and you'll see all the cool artifacts that's in there, you'll be like, wow, it's a true museum, and it's a timepiece, because every room is different, and it goes way back to, what's the oldest thing you got in that museum?
Oh,
we've got a chest.
The mastodon bone.
The dinosaur bone.
Yeah, it really is the oldest. And we have a meteorite too. But we have a chest from the 1700s. I mean, we have all kinds of things. This is this county's collective memory. This is their conscious memory here. And so these are all artifacts from people that have lived here. And the bone is from around here too, the mastodon bone. That is my favorite thing. So we have all time periods.
And it's big, let me tell y'all. It's a big bone.
It's not a small one, no. Nope.
Yeah. So there's a lot to see and a lot to do that weekend, and just come and join us. It's just it's just a bunch of friends hanging out, and that's what we want to do. Just raise some money for the museum, and just have a and have together. So that's what it's about.
Appreciate it.
Exactly.
And get some education.
And you'll get to meet these and you'll get to meet these two wonderful ladies, and it's just a great
Yeah. Yes.
It's my sidekick. I don't know what I do without her. She helps me all over the place. So it's a great thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And Krista, you won't recognize the basement when you come here.
Oh yeah,
next.
Seriously. We'll be able to,
They have done
we've been working. We got all the old junk out of it.
Out of the jukebox room. And the jukebox is working again.
Yep.
Oh, is it?
Okay,
real quick. Tell us the story about the jukebox. We got to know. Because now that it's working, we may have to use it.
Well, it's the last jukebox that was in a bar over in Lexington. So it's not from Ray County, but it's from Lexington. And this bar was called the Peckerwood Club. All right. So seriously, but it had been a bar since the 1920s, and it was a safe haven for mobsters in Kansas City to be able to come out and talk without being murdered, a safe spot. So it's had a varied history all throughout. As a matter of fact, the woman that started it was the daughter of one of the men that was accused of killing Goldie's family. That was one of, she started that, and that was her dad, one of those gentlemen. So it has a really long history. And so this is the last jukebox that was in the restaurant. So it probably dates from, I don't know, the 70s, maybe 60s, 70s. And it's in working condition. So when they closed it, they had an auction, and a friend of ours over here bought it and donated it to us. So it's not technically a Ray County thing, but so many Ray County people went there, including Kansas City people, because even I've been there before where we're closed. So.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just one of those places. Yeah.
Yes, freaky. It's the deaf girl, Goldie.
Yeah.
And so it has its own ties. It has its own ties to your building.
Does. It absolutely does have its own ties. A lot of people went to that place for a lot of years, and in the later years, it just served really good food, shrimp, and people would go and they danced to the jukebox, and they'd have, my favorite was their lemon meringue pie. They had such good lemon meringue pie. But, so it went up into the I don't know when it closed, like 2006 or something like that. So, I mean, it had been there for a very long time. It was
Well, we may have to just play it one night while we're out there.
Oh,
well, isn't there a story where I thought I had heard Mailman Mark, talk about he was in there one night and it started playing by itself and it wasn't plugged in?
Well, that could be. I've not heard that myself.
Oh yeah, I've heard him say it, but I wasn't there.
But I was not there. But yeah.
Yeah, Mickey wants pie.
I don't know, right? It's really good pie.
I don't know. I'd have to think as many crazy things that have happened in that museum. If it just started playing, I guess I would just try to hum along to the song. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's kind of like out of all the weird things, that would just be another one.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely. Little Patty says, Kathy, I'm in Higginsville, not too far from you guys.
Oh gosh, no.
Come and visit us, little Patty.
You need to come and visit.
Exactly.
Now I know.
Absolutely. Yep.
Now I know.
Well, we appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. This has been fun. And do you guys have any closing thoughts or anything?
I know. I have no thoughts right now. I've got questions. Just no thoughts.
I hear you.
Me too. Just everybody take care.
For sure. I want to remind everybody, tune into Paranormal Roundtable. I believe Josh and the gang will be going live tonight. And then Paranormal Paul tomorrow night. Donny Cho says stuff tomorrow night. And you can find Brandy and I on with BMR late night tomorrow night.
Into the bazaar.
Bazaar. So anyway, once again, we appreciate you all, and you guys all have a good weekend, and we will see you on the other side.
Good night. Stay warm.
Good night.